So just one little piece of advice. I think mid files should be connected as a drive on any of the computers in the lab that you're working on. If you're having trouble with it, you can search Middlebury how to something like that. And I think you can go in here and look at that. To connect to mid files from the Middlebury campus, follow the appropriate instructions. So you can do this for the Windows if you're working on a lab computer, or you can even get to it from your Mac if you're on campus, which is pretty handy. But point being, if it doesn't show up, you can just search how to connect to mid files and you can find it online pretty easily. Okay, so let's remember where we put this. It's in mid files, classes. It'll be spring 20 for you guys, or whatever semester we're working in. For me, it's in here. Home map, cool. Base map, there it is. So now we need to open up Adobe Illustrator. Okay, this is all nice. If you get a screen that asks you to log in when you open Illustrator for the first time, use your Middlebury email. And everyone at Middlebury has an account automatically, and it'll allow you to get into the program just fine. Just make sure you use your Middlebury account, not your home account or something else. So let's start with Create New. And for this map, I think we're going to want to do a letter-sized paper. So you can choose letter for the preset, and then you don't need to change that. The one thing that you might want to pay attention to is whether your map is going to be portrait or landscape. So for me, I'm going to choose landscape and hit create. Okay, we don't need this for now. So right now I'm just going to talk to you about the basic Illustrator layout a little bit. This is what it's going to look like when you open your screen. You've got a blank image here, and this is your canvas or your artboard that you're working on. You've got your tools over here. These are how you manipulate different line work that you're working with. And then you've got the properties and layers panel over here. And in your layers, I'll have another video about this later. This is where you control like where within the hierarchy of display your artwork is going to. And the properties panel gives you a bunch of options that are dependent on whatever you have selected. So the first step is going to be to place our base map image into this, and then we're going to just sort of draw over that and trace it. And that's a nice way. It's a very easy way for map making to get things going rather than importing line work from a GIS program. You can just trace something that you screenshotted. So to place something, you'll go up to File, Place, and then you need to navigate to wherever you put your base map screenshot. So it'll be in mid files for me. I'm going to grab a different one that I took a little earlier, so don't disregard where I'm going right now. For you, this will be in their mid files, remember. All right. There's the extent. When you're dragging this around, you'll notice that it snaps a little bit to the edges of your canvas, which is quite nice. So what we want to do is center it, and it'll snap to that. And then when you're resizing an image, see how it's all over the place in terms of the aspect ratio? If you want to lock that in, a very nice shortcut is to press Shift while you're dragging around. And look at that. Then it scales up and down very nicely. And we can scale it up so that it goes to the edge of the page. And there we go. Now we've placed our base map onto the Illustrator artboard that we're working with. So now see that I'm in the Properties panel. See how that changed when I just clicked on something. That's because it's dependent on whatever you have selected. And there's a lot of different things that you can work on from the Properties panel. If you go back to the Layers panel, you'll see now there's a little drop down. And we have Layer 1 and then Linked File. So layers are a really nice way of organizing your map. So it's a really good idea to keep a consistent naming scheme so that when you look back at this later, you aren't confused and you can tell exactly what's going on. So if you click once and then click again, or I guess if you just double click it, you can rename any of these. So I'm going to call this layer our base map. And in that layer, it's almost like a folder. It contains this linked file, which is the file that we placed in. And you can lock that so that we now can't move this around at all. Or you can turn off the visibility on it so that it's gone. See that? Pretty handy. There's a couple other panels that I want to bring in here because they're going to be useful while we're making a map. And one of those is the Appearance tab. And to get new tabs, they're all stored up here in Window. And if you click Window, there's a whole bunch of different things you can get in here. So I'm going to grab Appearance. There it is. And I'm also going to grab the Symbols tab, and we're going to get to that a little bit later, but we're just going to start with it out so that it's handy. And what else? I think that's all we need for now. So I'm going to stop this video, and when we start up again, we'll continue on how to actually trace things and start making your map.